This episode of Getting Geeky with Game Relief is being powered by Asanakids. Learn yoga and mindfulness while playing. Do yoga poses align the chakras? Help the princess to get rid of their bad emotions before they block them. Yep, check it out on the Kickstarters through the 1st of August. Anyways, it's time for your next episode.
Getting Geeky with Gamer Leaf, the podcast in which one man strives to level up his geekhood and helping you do the same, one battle at a time. Now, let's get geeky with Gamer Leaf.
Fight epic space battles across the elite dangerous galaxy. Battle in asteroid belts to gain cover against enemy attacks. Explore planets to gain advantage over your foe, or send a fleet of transports to construct an unstoppable capital ship. Create an armada of spaceships, fighters, warships, even entire space stations. Use special abilities to outflank your enemy, upgrade your vessels with enhanced equipment, or play action cards to save your ships or foil your opponent.
Did that sound familiar to you guys? It didn't to me neither, but this is a story of Elite Dangerous Battle Cards, a new expandable card game that's currently on Kickstarter. And tonight we're lucky enough to have on the creators and masterminds behind this great game from Spidermind Games. We have Oliver and John. Is that correct, Oliver and John? Is that how you guys fit into line with Elite Battle Cards?
Hello, yes, that's absolutely right.
Hello.
Awesome. Now, before we get into Elite Battle Cards, let's rewind a little bit. We don't have to go back too terribly far, of course, unless you were born into tabletop board gaming. But how did you guys get started into tabletop board gaming, playing it and whatnot? Maybe we'll start with Oliver and then go to John. That way people can know who's talking when.
Sure. Okay, yes. So I'm Oliver. I'm the lead writer for Spidermind Games. I got into tabletop board gaming, specifically Dungeons and Dragons, when I was 9 years old. A group of bigger boys came round the house who were much cooler than me and made me basically Dungeon Master a game for them. So they were all 12, 13, and I was only 9. And so I kind of was thrown into the fire very early, but I definitely got the bug because I wanted to show off to all the important kids on my street. And ever since then, I've maintained a regular Dungeons and Dragons game and got more and more and more into gaming. And after a brief stint in insurance, I decided in the end to form my own company and make my own games. And Elite Dangerous Battle Cards is our second project. We did a role-playing game set in the same universe, the Elite Dangerous universe, earlier last year.
Awesome. So, Oliver, are you still DMing today, or did they ever let you play since you were 9?
I've played once or twice, but really, I'm still DMing. They're all very mean. They won't let me stop.
No, there's no way. There's no way he's going to be able to retire. He's too good.
Are you one of those 12-year-olds that got him started, John?
No, I'm not. No, I came to sit around Oliver's D&D table much later than that. But now that I have, I'm hooked, and I'm not going anywhere.
Awesome. So is Oliver the one that got you started, or how did you get started into tabletop board games and whatnot, John?
No, for me it was school, and it was pure greed. To keep this story very short, I went to a school where at about 3:00 in the afternoon you can head into the refectory and grab a tea and biscuits, or for Tuesdays and Thursdays it was a slice of cake, and that was something back at school days. But we all had to queue up outside the refectory along a long wall, looking into the library. Now, cake back then was a rare commodity and highly prized, and you were only allowed a small slice each. But I remember looking into this library and seeing trays and trays of cake being carried into 2 tables of 5 players each, gathered around, fussing over paper. And I kind of thought to myself, hang on a second, how come they get more cake than me? What's going on? What's all that about? And so I popped into the library the next free study period I had, spoke to the librarian, and she was like, yeah, that's the role-playing group. You're in. See you next Tuesday. And I think I was about 12 at that time, 13. And that was it. I was hooked.
Oh, boy. So you did it for the cake?
I did it for the cake, but it hooked me in, and since then, thankfully, I've managed to cut the cake out a bit. But no, it got me hooked. Got me hooked from there, and I met Oliver because we live quite close to each other through amateur dramatics. We were both treading the boards, and we were waiting for the set to be made or waiting for the director to call us or something, and we were having a chat about the old Elite, the 1987 wire-framed Elite that we used to both play, and that moved on to talking about the latter day iteration of it, Elite Dangerous, and we got starting talking about what we used to do at school and RPGs and things like that, and then Oliver went, well, I've got a Tuesday night group if you fancy it, and that was, as they say, the rest is history.
Awesome. So that's pretty cool. So besides elite battle cards and whatnot, do you guys currently what are your current favorite games? Because if I let you pick elite battle cards, my audience might have me drug out into space and shot or whatnot.
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, we still play Dungeons and Dragons every week, so that should tell you about its level of popularity. I've kind of dragged John into computer gaming, relatively recently. He didn't really play much, did you? Until I kept tracking all these games your way.
Not a huge amount, no.
Yeah. No, he's very much like me. He's very much into Fallout. We love those games. I think they're fantastic.
But as far as board and card games are concerned, Dominion, I think, is probably.
Oh, we do like that. That's a very Moorish game. I don't know if you've ever played Dominion. It's I'm trying to remember. I think it might be German, but it's a splendid game where there's you kind of you're not actually fighting each other. So it's actually one of these weird. I say weird. I suppose to us in the West, we love playing fighting games, where we're soldiers and all those sorts of things. And in Dominion, you hardly ever fight each other. You're playing against each other, but somehow you don't need to send soldiers against one another. You compete by sort of building better granaries and sort of being more sort of politically astute than your opponent. It's a very civilized game, really. But addictive. You keep building up your decks. You get to build your deck as you go. And I think that's kind of quite there is something quite addictive about that.
For sure, yeah. I like a good deck builder. You have to play Dominion. One of my favorite deck builders is Star Realms, and when we've been talking about Elite Dangerous battle card, just with the whole space theme or whatnot, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Star Realms. But so word on the street, like I said, is you guys have a new game currently on Kickstarter. What can you guys tell us about Elite Dangerous battle cards?
Well, Elite Dangerous Battle Cards it's a 2-player cooperative card game, and it's based in the Elite Dangerous universe. So for those that don't know Elite Dangerous, it's basically it's an attempt at recreating it's a video game, and they attempt to recreate the galaxy on a 1-to-1 scale. So you can visit potentially all 4 billion stars in the galaxy. And it's all very, very realistic. So, the solar system is accurately reproduced. Alpha Centauri is in the right place. You can go to Antares and do your Star Trek impression. And, every star that you look up at in the night sky is represented in the computer game. It's to an incredible degree of accuracy, even to the extent, I think, where... recently at astronomy, you might know, they've started to discover other worlds that they think might hold life, or at least they're Earth-like worlds. And in many cases, the algorithm that Elite Dangerous has used has actually predicted that they're there first, because the information that they've used to build the galaxy is so accurate that it's actually reflecting sort of what we're discovering in real life. So it's a very in that sense, it's quite a realistic universe. On another, it's also a gigantic kind of pirate free for all, and it's a game of sort of wild space capitalism slightly gone wrong, and in it, people own spaceships very much like modern day people own cars. So you might just be, if you're poor, you might be bimbling around in a little hauler ship. If you're wealthy, you might have sort of a massive python or an anaconda, or you might cruise around in a spaceship called the Ferdlance, which is this sleek bounty hunter vessel. Many of the ships are all named after snakes, probably to give this sort of undercurrent, the fact that that it's quite sinister in a strange way, in a nice way.
Well, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I think Oliver was saying wanting to say a collectible card game rather than cooperative card game.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I didn't mean cooperative. No, they do play competitive. It's a competitive card game.
Oh, okay, that's awesome. Yeah, because we don't care too much for co-op, but it's collectible.
Yeah, it's a collectible card game.
Well, it's a non-randomized game. I think it's what John is desperately attempting to say. So when you buy the sets, you know what cards are coming. So it's quite a fair deck building game. And we were just a little bit worried. We were originally, because I think it's the experience that me and John have had as sort of the kind of Magic the Gathering and the Pokemon side of things. Our first instinct when we made the game was, yeah, we'll go down the uncommon and the rare kind of route. But just recently, in sort of gaming at large, there's this growing feeling of people don't like loot boxes. And in a strange way, I think kind of the classic collectible card game model is quite loot boxy, because there's this feeling of, well, whoever is able to afford the most expansion packs wins the game. So we didn't want to go down that route. So we've made it so that the cards are fixed in their expansion. So if you want a particular card, you can get a particular expansion and sort of improve your deck that way. It just struck us as something that's a bit more fair than getting people to sort of gamble, as it were, and to get the right card.
Yeah, I think the right title is in fact expandable card game. I know some people like to call it a living card game, but I believe that's trademarked by our friends at Fantasy Flight. So I think so for us it's expandable. You with the Kickstarter campaign at the moment, you can buy a starter set, which gives you two basic decks, one Federation, one Imperial, that you can use to battle each other, and then the season box is one of every card. So you can collect every card that there is by just buying the season box. Game rules allow up to 4 of the same cards. So if there are any particular cards you want to get more than one of, there are some expansion packs you can buy as well. So we've tried to be relatively fair and not, take the mickey.
Okay, awesome. So it's not co-op then, it's a competitive?
It's a competitive game, yes. So apologies for my blithering earlier.
Just to say, whilst in the US it's a ridiculously late at night, in the UK it's ridiculously early on a Saturday morning. That is the excuse that we will be putting out, and that's the one we're going to stick with.
That's our story, and we're sticking to it. So that's awesome.
Yeah, exactly that.
So per se, we sat down to play Elite Dangerous battle cards. How would that look? Wait, how would it sound? I mean, this is a podcast after all.
Well, effectively, the game is it's set out on a board. You've got 3 zones, effectively, and each zone has got a different mission in it. So at the start of the game, you'll put some random mission cards down in each zone. And a mission card can sometimes be quite simple. So it might just be, this zone is filled with asteroids, which means that your ships can sort of dodge more easily. Another one might be, this is a space station assault mission. So one person has one of the Elite Dangerous's famous enormous space stations, and they've got to protect them. With their own ships, and another might be an escort mission. Another can be exploring distant worlds. So there's all kinds of different missions that you'll do, and the missions sort of determine who can win the game. Ultimately, the idea is that you've got to control 2 out of the 3 zones. If you've ever played, some people must have. There's a game called Elder Scrolls Legends, which is it's an online card game, but it's got sort of different aisles in that game. In this, it's very similar. You've got 3 zones. You've got to take 2 out of 3, and I think one of the big things about the game is that each of your units, each of your spaceships, it doesn't just fight. So they don't just go into the zone and start shooting each other. They're able to do lots of different things. So cards have got multiple actions, and you're able to choose different actions. So if, say, you were in a Cobra Mark III, which is a fairly common spaceship in the Elite Dangerous universe, you could just sort of make a standard attack on someone, or you could do an attack whereby basically you strafe them. So you'll strafe by, kind of shoot someone, and then you retreat off board. So you kind of like jet out at the last moment. So and likewise, if you got a transport, instead of just attacking, you could draw more cards, or you could make deliveries to build a gigantic capital ship, or other spaceships can sort of scan distant worlds. Others will heal or protect their allies instead of attacking. And so instead of just having cards that do one thing, your cards can do multiple things. And the more expensive the card, and the more there's a resource called karma in the game. The more karma points that the card costs, the more different things that card can do. So you can end up with your cards sort of granting each other abilities and doing all sorts of lovely, clever things. So they're not just one trick ponies, and it's to reflect this idea in the Elite Dangerous universe that spaceships, they're not just there for one role. You can get spaceships doing all kinds of different roles, depending on what you want to accomplish in the game. So it's nice in that regard that there's really no such thing really as just an ordinary card. They've all got some unique personality about them.
So they're like I've heard of a lot of games recently using like a multi-use cards or whatnot, so is that kind of what it is?
Yes, I think so. Essentially, you're just able to choose between various different actions, and obviously some cards have got abilities that are always working. So you've got some ships, for instance, have very powerful shields and they can avoid damage. Other ships will sort of deliberately mess up your opponent's plans by, say, preventing them from reinforcing in a zone, or being able to move from one zone to another because their sort of hyperspace range is so long. So instead of just when you've conquered a zone, your ships remain there, you can shift some of your ships to other zones and reinforce areas. So it can be sort of quite dynamic. I think one of the big things about the game, and it's why I'd encourage anyone to sort of go on the Kickstarter or go on the website and have a look. They're really beautifully designed. We've got a smashing designer called Bruce Kennedy, who he worked on various games. One of his most recent ones was Just Cause 3. And he did the kind of the adverts for the side of buses and kind of the huge billboards that you see in city centers and so forth, and he worked on things like that, and he's just done some smashing work on the cards. They're looking really, really nice.
Yeah, I'd say that too. Yeah, make sure you go and check out the campaign. We'll leave links in the show notes. But yeah, the art is definitely most awesome. Now, I know you guys are probably a little biased or whatnot. So per se, somebody doesn't necessarily want to take your word for it. Are there any reviews or previews out there of other people that have checked out Elite Battle Cards and what they think about it?
Yeah, there are. We are getting around to being interviewed by and getting the product reviewed by a bunch of people. We've put in some videos in the Kickstarter page of where we've had folk come over and play the game, and there's also the comments page of the actual Kickstarter campaign itself, where people have come to see us. We managed to get a couple of sets to the UK Games Expo back in the beginning of June. We've also attended another convention, a UK-based convention for Elite Dangerous fans called LaveCon. So we've had a few, and there are some playthrough videos online as well. Most importantly, I think, is that there's a playthrough that was filmed by Frontier Developments, who obviously are the creators of Elite Dangerous. Their community management team invited us up to their headquarters in Cambridge, and we filmed a game, and it is basically just a playthrough. So it's Steve Kirby is one of the guys playing. He's their creative director. He used to work, I believe, on Magic the Gathering. So he's a card game nut anyway. He plays against Will, one of the community management team. And what that is just this great opportunity for people to see how the mechanics work. And then, of course, they can make up their own mind.
Okay, yeah, for sure. So definitely go check that out. Now, per se, that somebody's fallen asleep while listening, it wouldn't be because of you guys or this great game. It'd probably be because of me and my podcast. What we're at the just starting the second week of July, and since the first of the year, we've already released 108 episodes. So sometimes people get a little tired of hearing me drone on and on. So sometimes they fall asleep. It's neither been confirmed nor denied, so I don't know if it's true or not. But they've suddenly been jolted awake, so you guys have their full attention. Why should they take a chance on Elite Danger? Why should they take a chance on Elite Dangerous battle cards, especially with all the other great games out there on the Kickstarters currently?
Yeah, I mean, there are a number of quite impressive games out there, as there always are. First of all, Elite Dangerous battle cards doesn't actually need any previous knowledge of the Elite Dangerous universe. It is it is a perfectly self-contained game. It also is one that is easy to pick up, and because, as Oliver was explaining earlier on, because of the mission system, there's almost infinite possibilities every time you come to play a game. So it's perfectly suited for competitions. It's perfectly suited for a quick game between friends. I mean, a game would normally typically take just under an hour. And because it is an expandable card game, it's one where when you buy the set, you get what you pay for. So you're not having to, as Oliver mentioned earlier on, having to rely on loot boxes or foil packs and having to spend to win.
Also, it's a very addictive game. I mean, we've had in a nice way, hopefully, rather than a negative way. I mean, when we went up to the UK Games Expo. I mean, we're quite a small company, Spidermind Games, really, but we just weren't left alone for the entire 3 days that we were there. So we literally had people queuing up in order to have a go at the game. And we had people sort of coming back during Quiet House, try and sneak an extra game in. My voice was absolutely hoarse and ragged by the end of that expo. Simply because people they didn't want to leave us alone. If they'd played once, they would be hovering around just to check, see if a table had come free, and they'd be in there like a shot. So I think there's something very pleasurable about playing it, and people who don't play card games have sat down with it, and I've seen them whooping. And bear in mind that we're British, so we don't whoop. We really don't whoop. Yeah, absolutely. But just with raw sort of pleasure at beating their opponent, normally their other half. So I think there is something magical about it. I think it looks gorgeous. It plays very well, and the more you play it, the more you realize that there's kind of an underlying cunning in the game, and that just as you're sort of beginning to think, well, I've kind of got this all down pat, you can notice all kinds of devious strategies. There's enough cards in the game. We've got 245, I believe, in the main set, that you can come up with all kinds of amazing little cross strategies. And there are cards which originally you might bypass first time, and then you look at it again and you suddenly go, oh, I see what that's about. It's able to be a miner, an explorer, and a trader all at once. Oh, I'm going to pop that in my deck next time. And so there's a great deal of sort of discovery about the game. I think, as your deck building, and an enthusiasm to go, oh, I just got to have that card in my deck, and and that'll wipe the smug smile off my opponent's face. There's something just very pleasurable about it. And hopefully, if people see the playthroughs, they'll get that impression. They'll see that, oh yeah, I can see those guys are really having fun. And having to see from the mechanics, yeah, they're not complicated. But, obviously matters can get very intricate if you can do the right things in the right order. So I think that's the best I can do to convince people to buy it. Except to say it certainly won't look unpleasant on your bookshelf. We do pride ourselves in Spidermind at producing really, really pretty games. And this will look gorgeous and fantastic, so you won't have to worry about the quality. It'll sit there on your bookshelf, and your game desk, and it will look intriguing and inviting.
Yeah, for sure. It does look that way. So make sure you go ahead and click that link on the show notes so you can check out the campaign. Now, I don't know you guys don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. So if somebody goes ahead and they like what they've seen here and on your Kickstarter page and they like what you've talked about and whatnot, if they go ahead and back Elite Dangerous Battle Cards, when would they anticipate getting their product?
At the moment, the production times for making the cards, we've overcompensated. We have added extra stretch room and wriggle room. So at the moment, we're talking about Q4 of this year. So the aim is obviously to get it to everyone before Christmas. But if we say Q4 and we deliver early, we feel that's better than saying, okay, we'll do it in 8 weeks and not being able to manage that. So we will order our first tranche of games to be made at the end of the Kickstarter campaign, and we've been told between 8 and 12 weeks for construction time. But then add on top of that, then it's got to get to warehouse in UK, then it's got to be distributed. So that's why we're saying Q4, because we want to be we want to be overly cautious at the moment.
For sure. And what are we looking at for shipping prices, both there in the UK as well as in the US?
We've capped that because specifically we didn't want to penalize people who are buying stuff overseas. I mean, the US market is huge, and so we didn't want to penalize you folks just for the fact that you live across the pond. So what we've done is we've capped the postage. There's a postage chart away down on the Kickstarter page, which shows that after a certain amount of weight, there is a complete cap on what we're charging, and also a price as well. So it doesn't matter whereabouts in the whereabouts in the world you live, you will be able to get the same price.
So that's awesome. So make sure you check that out as well. So yeah, so go ahead and go ahead and click that link and pull over if you're driving. And if you notice other people pulling over at the same time, they're probably listening to this and they pulled over as well. So take down their license plate numbers and then go search them in the database so you can go ahead and find other people to play Elite Battle Cards with. So that's awesome. Now, I don't know if you guys gotten a chance to listen to the podcast or not. If not, that's okay. The next portion of our podcast is called Adventures in Application Acquisition, where we talk about an app, be it for a cell phone, a tablet, or a computer, or even a video game. And it doesn't even necessarily have to do with tabletop board gaming or space or anything like that. Is there an app you guys use a lot of that we can talk about for a moment?
Well, for me, I'm at the moment just crazy about the social media side of things. So I'm using a lot of the social media apps. So I mean, I don't know whether I want to give some of the bigger names, a shout out or not.
Nah, that's boring, Sean.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I thought.
Do gaming apps count?
Yeah, whatever app. Yeah, just an app you use a lot of. We can do gaming as well.
There's a wonderful little app. It's nothing to do with me, incidentally, but I absolutely adore it. It's called the Warlock of Firetop Mountain, and it's by Tin Man Games. Now, the Warlock of Firetop Mountain was originally a book. It was written in 1982 by Steve Jackson and Ian Livingston, and they it's basically. Do you remember the Choose Your Own Adventures books? Maybe it depends if you're the same age as us. I can't see you, so I can't judge.
Yeah, we had those when we were younger. Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah, the multiple choice ones. We had a batch of those over in Britain called Fighting Fantasy. And effectively what they were, they sort of mixed D&D with Choose Your Own Adventure. And the first time I was ever exposed to fantasy gaming was that book. And I think I was 6 years old. And the next door neighbor boy basically read us through it and got us to make the choices for him in the book. And it's kind of stayed with me ever since. And obviously I bought the book when I could, and I played through it many times. There is an app which has recreated that book as if it was basically a really good Dungeons and Dragons game. So it creates 3D terrain. So when you go into the dungeon, it's like someone is laying down dungeon tiles, but really, really nice dungeon tiles, like the type you sort of get from Dwarven Forge, if you've heard about those guys, with the really sort of intricate stonework. And so wherever your little miniature moves, the dungeon kind of builds around you. And it's a brilliant recreation of that original book. So it's quite nostalgic for me, but it's actually just a really, really flavorsome game. And again, they're a tiny studio like us, and they have just made something absolutely gorgeous and wonderful. So if I can recommend, if you've got an hour to spare, download Warlock of Firetop Mountain by Tin Man Games. It's absolutely splendid. They've just got it just right, and yeah, you can lose yourself in an hour in sort of classic 1980s UK fantasy, which if you've ever seen sort of like the stuff that Games Workshop produce, it's that kind of stuff. It's that kind of stuff, really.
Okay, so I usually ask a question, but you might have answered it already for me. I usually ask the whoever brings up the app, Oliver, if they own the rights to the app, what would be one thing you would do to make it better or fix it? But I'm not sure. You sounded like it's pretty good. Would there be one thing you would do to change it?
I think it's splendid. I would certainly want to release more on it, because they've done a single expansion. I think they're quite careful in Tin Man Games that they don't want to do unnecessary expansions. Is there anything I would do to improve it? Oh, just one thing. There's one section when you play it the first time. There's a place called the Maze of Zagor, which was famously infuriating in the book. It's very clever, but it's a maze that's really, really difficult to escape from. And they recreate it in the game, and it's slightly less annoying than it was in the book. But one thing I would say is, to the designers, find us a way to skip that maze, because once you've done it once, you really don't want to do it again. It's the only thing that ever makes you think, oh, I don't want to go back into the dungeon. That said, I think I've been through that same dungeon 12 times, and it's so visually appealing, and it's got so much variety in it that, it's great. It's a tiny thing, but yeah, let us be able to skip the maze of Bleeding Zagor, and I will be a happy man.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, we try to make a green podcast around here. So if anybody is ever listening that has anything to do with development or updates of that app is ever listening, you heard it here first on Getting Geeky with Game Relief. What Oliver would do to make that a little bit better. Go ahead and let him skip that maze, as he's been through it at least 12 times thus far.
Yeah, it seems a bit mean now. But yes, let me skip the maze.
There you go. Even if no, maybe don't do it for anybody else, just give Oliver a little code or something so he can go ahead and put that in and skip it next time he plays.
Special code. Yes, please. Be brilliant. But other than that, it's great.
Awesome. Now, John, is there anything you use besides social media apps we can talk about maybe? Or?
Well, yeah, I mean, if I'm going to give any app a shout out, it would have to be Podbean. It's my place I go to, because for me, I'm not, I will sit there and game a lot, but But when I'm out and about, I like listening to my podcasts. And the thing that annoys me more than anything else are the podcast apps that are given with your phone, that come with the companies that make the phone. They're very restrictive on what they allow in. I guess it depends on how much the broadcasters pay them or whatever. Whereas Podbean's awesome because anyone, as we're here now. We're on a podcast, a subject that we love, so people can start up for free. It's an awesome little place where you can go and get all your own podcasts, and you can also find and discover new ones that are constantly coming out. So that's if I'm looking on the front page of my phone, and that is by far the best app and the one I use the most.
Well, you've given yourself away. Now we know you use Podbean, so hopefully you'll start following Getting Geeky with Game Relief, as we put our podcast out through Podbean.
Do you? Well, there you go. That's one of the reasons why I like it, because you can find and discover people that you wouldn't otherwise know about, but covering subjects that you love. So
there you go, for sure. Awesome. So yeah, that's a good one to listen to podcasts on. So the same question that I gave Oliver, if you own the rights to Podbean, what would be one thing you would do to fix it or make it better, John?
I don't know. I'd like it to be able to interact in the same way that the phone users podcasts can, where it's a little bit more intuitive. So once you've listened to a couple of a particular podcast, it finds you others, suggests things to you, downloads them onto your hard drive of your phone, and then comes up with a little number showing you how many shows you've got to listen to. I know most of that is prevented by the phone owners' software, because it's a competition of theirs. So, but I'd smash through all of those limitations and make it awesome.
Okay, so you heard it here first on Getting Geeky with Game Relief. If anybody is ever listening that has anything to do with updates of Podbean, the app, what John would do to make it better, give him suggestions and let him download other things that he might like according to the stuff he listens to.
Absolutely.
So there you go. So awesome. Now we don't want to keep you all day, and plus I probably should get some sleep. At least if I talk to my wife, she'd say that's a good idea. So I don't want to stay up all night. So minus coming over there to the UK to stalk you guys in person, how would people go about keeping up with you and what you guys have going on with Spidermind games and everything?
Well, you can certainly follow Spidermind games. You can follow ED Battle Cards, and you can follow our RPG all on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram, but also we have regular updates on our own websites. We use the blog page to chuck out their regular updates of what we're up to, so you can follow us there as well. We are at the moment, and it's really early days, but we are talking to Tabletop Simulator about potentially bringing some DLC to that amazing platform, so that people can have a go of our game online if they use Tabletop Simulator, so that they don't have to necessarily have a physical copy just yet. But and we will be, it'll be great if we can, once we've produced the game, we can then bring it to the various conventions that are out and about. We've got, for the RPG, which is now nearly two and a bit years old, we've now got an ambassador program in place, where both folks in the US as well as over in Europe have joined up, become ambassadors, and they get given official support from us as a company to go to gaming events in their countries to try out and give people experience of the games. So we'll be doing the same thing with Battle Cards once it's up and running.
Well, there you go. Awesome. And once you get it on Tabletop Simulator and whatnot, keep in mind, like, I don't remember if it was John or Oliver that talked about, and I'm just looking at it, it's a beautiful box to have on your shelf. So even if you're just planning on playing it on Tabletop Simulator, I don't know why you would, but once it gets on there, make sure you go ahead and back it so you can at least have the box to put on your shelf so people can see it as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
For sure. Awesome. So yeah, like I said, we don't want to keep you all day, but we really appreciate you all coming on Getting Geeky with Game Relief.
Well, thank you very much for having us on.
Yes, thank you, Blake. Very cool.
Yeah, no problem.
What is this place? What is it doing here in the Leaves computer? Oh, it's Kickstarter Corner with the Leaves.
I could listen to that song all day. What is this thing doing here in the Leafs computer? What is this thing doing here? Oh, it's Kickstarter Corner with the Leafs. But she does a much better job. And then speaking of her, she's actually joining me for today's Kickstarter Corner. Hey, Princess Leaf.
Hi, guys.
So awesome. So let's go ahead and see what's going on. Quite a few games on the Kickstarter Corner today, Princess Leaf.
I know, I memorized this game. It's Lunar 5000 at least.
Oh, there you go. Tell us about it.
A board game where players build and race in personalized spaceship. When the dice hit the table, you'll be in the winner's circle. And to answer that, you have to play it.
Yeah, I played that game. And little Game Relief was in the winner's circle when we played. And they're coming down to the wire. So if you want to get this great game and make it a reality this time around, let's go ahead and jump on the bandwagon and back Lunar 5000 on the Kickstarter Corner.
Make it a reality.
Yeah, make it a reality. They've got less than 61 hours at the time you hear this, so they're coming to the nigh. It's a really fun game. We reviewed it. Go back and listen. If they don't make it, I hope they relaunch. Next is...
Out of Sorts, a game for creative kids of all ages. A beautiful laser engraved mix and match designed to encourage creativity, imagination, and tons of fun. They're halfway to their goal.
Over halfway to their goal. They're going for 10,000. They're at 58,000. 10,000. They're at 5,800, I mean. Yeah, and they got 9 days to go, so jump on this by the 19th of July. We should, not tomorrow, but the following day. So, Tuesday, Wednesday, let's see. Yeah, Wednesday. So Thursday, look for our review as well as interview with the creators. So that'll be cool. Like I said, you have through the 19th of July. Next is Vikingjarl.
The board game, an exciting strategic game about Vikings. Norse mythology.
Warfare.
Warfare, trade, and the building settlements made by Norwegian Vikings.
We had the creator on the show, and they're also doing a giveaway with the board game stories. They
have two.
Yeah, there's two games you can win. One of two games, Vikingjarl or Theosis, which I believe they're both currently on Kickstarter, and this giveaway is being given by Board Game Stories. Next is...
we have Bringing UKGE to the next level. High Level Games is hosting a convention in Atlantic City. We want to have the best material on hand to create an awesome experience.
And this con is going from when? Or when is this con?
October 12th through the 14th. Hopefully you live there or visit, or there's great advertising things you can do.
Yeah, so definitely check out this Kickstarter that is running until, let's see here, until the...
October 12th to the 14th.
Well, that's when the con is, silly. They're running through the 26th of July, so definitely check out Bringing UKGE to the next level. I hope this Kickstarter Corner turns out okay. We're having a lot of technical difficulties currently, unfortunately. So hopefully we can bring all these great games and Kickstarters to you. Next, we've got Crown of Aragon, which is a 2-player card game of medieval intrigue and conquest that can be played in 15 minutes. Seize the Crown. Go back and listen. We interviewed the creator James, as well as did a preview of this great game. They're at 20% funded, and they've got 17 days to go. So definitely check it out. It's going through Friday the 27th of July. Definitely check it out. Okay, yeah, so definitely check out Crown of Aragon. That's going through then. Next, we've got Casual Game Insider, CGI, their magazine is from Casual Game Revolution, is launching their Kickstarter. Right now the countdown is at what?
Almost 10 hours.
Well, yeah, probably 11 hours, a little bit less. But when you hear this, hopefully this great campaign will go ahead and be live. So if it's not, just click the link and it'll tell you. But we saw Well, I've seen the game. It's coming up the game book or magazine. It's awesome. I really loved it. And they're in Barnes. They're in like a bunch of different locations. I can tell you a little bit about it. They're in 130 Barnes and Nobles, 150 Books A Million. They're in 70 independent bookstores. They're at the BGG store, 2,500 game stores, and 2,000 plus readers. Plus, people can read it on their app. So you can subscribe to the great magazine about games, or you can also advertise in it. So definitely check out this. It's going for a 2-week campaign, so it's running through what's 2 weeks from the 10th? 14 days from the 10th, Princess Leaf. We're doing our math.
The 24th.
The 24th of July. So definitely check out this one from Casual Game Revolution. Chris, he's in my gaming group. He's a great guy. And this is a great magazine. Next we've got...
Snap the flag. Get moving and laugh it
up. Yeah, laugh it up. And are you ready to make fitness fun?
Yes, we are.
And turn game night into an action-packed laugh fest for all ages?
I don't know about Dad, but I am.
Well, definitely check out Snag the Flag then. They're going for another 15 days. They're over halfway to their goal. And they're going through, the 25th of July. So definitely check out this great game on Kickstarter. Next, we've got Immortality.
Greek mythology game with dice, cards, and more.
Greek mythology for all to enjoy. Roll dice, draw cards, battle beasts. Will you get out alive, Princess Leaf?
I won't know.
Well, they're over their goal, and they're going for another 16 days, going through the 26th of July.
They probably have stretch goals.
Well, yeah, maybe they've got stretch goals. They've reached their goal, so definitely check this one out on the Kickstarters. Next, we've got Asanakids.
Learn yoga and mindfulness while playing.
Do yoga poses. Align the chakras, whatever that is. Help the princess.
To get rid of their bad emotions before they block them.
So yeah, definitely check this out. They're going for another 22 days, so what is that? Just over 3 weeks, so definitely check out this one on the Kickstarter.
Next, we have The Abandons, a
solo labyrinth escape game. So it's a solitaire game of labyrinth escape.
Portable, simple to learn, and unique every time you play.
Yeah, so I think they're over halfway their goal. Yeah, it looks like it. And they're going through, 23 days left, the 2nd of August. So definitely check out this great game on the Kickstarter. You know that, Princess Leaf?
Yes.
Yeah, so definitely check it out. It looks pretty fun. It's one player, and you can't play it, Princess Leaf, because you're too young.
I can too. Dad will let me, or Mom, because they let me play over the limits.
I don't know about this limit. It's 14 plus. But it's only a 5 to 15 minute game. So there you have it.
We'll be checking it out.
Next, you've got Kingdoms of Verdun.
King of the Mountain Dwarven Expansion.
Collect faction members and dominate the mountain in this fantasy set collection strategy card game.
Ages 10 and up, 2 to 5 players, 15 to 40 minutes.
Or 45 minutes. I think Princess Leaf just plays her games a little bit quicker than everybody else. But anyways, check out Kingdoms of Verdun now on Kickstarter. Next, we've got Gels for Fun, a historically inaccurate card game.
An easy-to-learn game for 2 to 4 players, full of pop culture twists, perfect puns, and a unique combat system.
This one looks kind of fun. They are over their goal. They've reached their goal, and they've still got 26 days to go, Princess Leaf.
There you have stretch goals. They're almost up to the thing. They just have to do 14 more. They have to do one more 1,000. Oh, and there's a princess on a pony that's pink.
Or a little kid, or a guy on a bear. So yeah, check out that one. They were funded in under, they were funded in under 72 hours. This one looks pretty fun, so definitely check it out. They're going for stretch goals, like Princess Leaf said.
Next, we have Clustered. It's going to maybe do tomorrow.
Yeah, it comes out tomorrow morning, so watch out for that. It's 5 minutes to learn, 30 minutes to play, 1 to 4 players, ages 7 and plus. Plus, guess what, Princess Leaf?
The first 500 free when you back it. You get a game, and maybe can get your 4 friends to buy a game, and then you'll be able to put them in the box, so you won't have to worry about that.
Yeah, so if you're one of the first 500 people, you can get a free game minus shipping for a box. You don't get the box, but you get a free game. And then you refer friends, and 4 friends will get you a free game of Clustered. 2nd edition, a strategic card game. Battle your opponents by placing cards with matching attributes next to each other. Can you out-strategize everyone to win, Princess Leaf?
Yes, if Dad will let me play this.
They're going till the 10th of August, so definitely check this one out. Launching, tomorrow, the 10th of July. And I think that about wraps it up, Princess Leaf. So what do we need to tell everybody?
We need to tell you guys to get on with our lives, and we'll get on with your lives.
That'd be kind of tricky, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah, I meant to say, you get on with your lives, we'll get on with your lives, and we'll all be happy.
Okay, well, I hope somebody gets on with our lives, too. But anyways, in the meantime, until tomorrow when we catch you again.
So say geeky, get geeky, bring others into the geek fold. You guessed it. Wait, let's catch you on the flip side. You guessed it. Let's go outside.
Interesting. Anyways, we'll catch you all on the flip side. Gamer Leaf.
And Princess Leaf out.
Gamer Leaf levels up. Tune in next week to see if Gamer Leaf's luck holds up.